morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a warm welcome to each and every one of you who have gathered here to be a part of Red Team Security Summit. We are glad to have Ms. Mary Ajla, an excellent cybersecurity instructor at Red Team Hacker Academy, to host a talk on the topic SIM, detecting advanced credential attacks. It's a pleasure to have such talented cybersecurity experts at the Red Team Security Summit 2021. So, Ajla, you are welcome, and the stage is all yours.
Yes, thank you, Camilla. So, hello everyone. First of all, welcome to the webinar. Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. So, first of all, my name is Mary Ajla, and I'm working as a cybersecurity instructor at Red Team Hacker Academy. And, my interest is more towards defensive side of cybersecurity. Basically, I'm a blue teamer, and my topic is SIM detecting credential attacks. Objective of the clear idea about the basic credential attacks we face in a SOC environment and the basics of SIM tools. Because 80% of the attacks we face in a cybersecurity, it's because of losing the credentials, losing stolen username or passwords credentials. So if you are a person who is looking to the job opportunities and the defensive side, and this webinar is going to be very helpful for you. So the contents we are going to discuss today is why SIM, what is the need of SIM, why every organization requires security information and even management tool. Then SIM versus endpoint security devices. Even though every organization have different security devices like IPS, IS, firewalls, and so on, why organizations secured SIM tool? And then we'll be discussing about credential attacks. The most common credential attacks we will be facing and we will be analyzing and the SIM using SIM tools. Then the alert possibilities based on the credential attacks we are going to discuss today in this webinar. So first of all, why SIM is required for every organization? So SIM tool means it's a security information and even management. So it collects the logs from every log sources we are integrated in it, which means every devices in an organization stores its logs. Logs means the activities or the events performed by every devices. For example, if firewall allow the connection, it will log. If it deny the connections, it will be stored as the log file. Just like that, every device stores its log file. Okay. So SIM tool, it can receive the logs from every devices. Even if you are using Windows machine, your Windows device stores your logs. There is something when viewer applications. If you go through your machine, even viewer stores the logs of your Windows machine, like application setup logs, security logs, and system logs. Okay. So SIM performs the collection. It collects the logs from every devices your organization. Devices you integrated with the SIM tool, it can collect every devices. And it can perform parsing the events, which means every devices stores the logs as raw logs means it's unprocessed logs, which is difficult for us to understand. So SIM tool makes it easier for us to analyze by converting the raw logs into the normalized events, which means from the logs it converts the normalized such as IP address, port number, and the events, total number of times the event occurs will be normalized into the normal fields using SIM tool. And it can perform the aggregation as well. Like if you are receiving the multiple events from the same source, if you are receiving the similar event from the multiple devices, instead of displaying each event again and again, it can aggregate the logs into the total counts. in order to increase the SimTool's performance, it aggregates the logs into the normalized. That's what parse the hits. And next one, SimTool, it can perform the forensic log management. Uh, can SimTool is a collection of logs, can normalize the logs into the normal fields. And also it can perform the forensic log management, which means it can store the logs for the forensic evidence. But the problem is storing the logs. It requires, even when you are working in a SOC, your every day you will receive minimum 1 terabyte storage. It requires to store the logs of every day. So just imagine you're working for 6 months project or 1 year project. You are receiving the log of 1 year. So 1 year it requires minimum 365 terabyte storage to store the logs of all devices. So some organizations follows input-driven methods. They will integrate only the specific log sources with the SimTool. What think it's the most critical device in the organization, like firewall, it can be web server or IDS or IPS. So some organizations only integrate the critical devices in order to minimize the log storage. But it can be too risky when it comes to the breaches because we don't know which device would be compromised. So it would be always great when you are integrating mostly all devices with the SIM, but there must be some maintenance there. Like we can integrate all devices with the SimTool, and if you think any logs are unnecessary to monitor, you can remove the logs. There must be some maintenance should be there. So as I said, it can use for evidences. For example, when you're working for a bank and there is some cases going against your customer, so it asks you to provide the logs of particular device a specific time period, you must be in a position to provide the logs, the evidence for forensic analysis. If you are not providing the logs, if you lost even a single log in those time period, it means that your company is not compliant. This says that you are not following the standards. So SimTool is forensic log management, and next one is real-time detection of threats. So using SimTool, you can monitor the real-time logs. You can detect the logs threats in real time. Like there's something called Threat Intelligence Management platform. Threat Intelligence platform means it provides details about every threats. Just like malicious IP address, malicious URL, hash value. It can be anything like malicious thing. Threat intelligence platforms gives you the details about the malicious files or URL or hash value or IP address, mail ID, anything it can be. So if you integrate any threat intelligence platform with a SimTool, whenever you receive threats or malicious traffic which is already exist in the threat intelligence platform, automatically the alerts will be generated and SimTool provides the real-time detection of threats. You can analyze and detect the threats on the spot using SimTool. And also it can perform user activity management. And user activity plays a role here because more than 2% of the breach, I'd say, it happens because of the insider threats, because of the employees who are working in your customer side. In order to prevent it, we must have to monitor the users, the privileged user monitoring basis. We must have to monitor the admin users who have more privileges than the normal users. For example, we will be performing browsing activities of the users. Like some companies, they may not prefer their employees to access the particular social or web pages. So using DNS server logs, we can monitor packages accessed by the users, by customer side employees, user activity. And the next one is reports gives you the statistical view of data, especially when you are working as a SOC analyst level 2. Your daily responsibility is to create the reports based on your daily activities and weekly activities. Like you'll be checking whether all the log sources in your organizations are sending the logs to the SIM tool or not. If it's not sending, you'll create the report for the daily activities as well as the daily activities. Like every week, what are the severe incidents you are seeing, and what are the incidents you have resolved, what are the suspicious activities you have resolved. Based on it, you'll create the weekly reports as well. And the next one is dashboards. SIM dashboards. So SIM dashboards means it gives you representation of data. As you can see here, this is the geolocation of users. For example, when you are monitoring your employees, like you have the employees from different locations of the world. Like you may have employees from US or Canada, but you also you don't have employees from any other locations like China or any other locations. So while monitoring dashboards, while monitoring the
Um, Hello all. Just give us a second. In a minute, we'll uh, be back after checking the network issues or what is happening right now. Okay, we'll be checking into that and we'll start the session soon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your patience.
So guys, sorry for the inconvenience. So do we have to exit from the previous slide? Please. Okay, so this is SIM dashboards. So dashboards, as I said, it gives the clear pictorial representation of the data. As you can see, here is the geographical regions dashboards you can see. So if you are monitoring for user activities, monitoring as well, we can use graphical locations monitoring so that you can understand from which locations the employees of your network are accessing, from which locations you are receiving the traffic. As if you have employees from different locations in the world. But if you in particular location you don't have employees, but if you receive the traffic from this person, you can understand there must be something wrong or some suspicious activities must be happening. So you can use geographical locations for user activity monitoring, as well as when you are working for any e-commerce companies for monitoring their devices, you're monitoring web server logs. Using geographical location, you can understand from which locations you have the customers, more number of customers, and the more number of customers perform what are the actions performed by customers of your company. All these events you can monitor through dashboard. Geographic location is one of the example of dashboard. You can dynamic average EPS will implement any sorting in your organization, any of customer side. This is the first thing you will be working on. It is event per second basis. First of all, you have to calculate the total number of devices in their organization, and based on the number of devices, you will calculate the EPS. Like you'll receive the log from all those devices per day. At last, you will calculate per second total number of devices you are receiving per second. Based on that, you'll be going for EPS policy. So the EPS policy differs based on the number of policy is decided budget of the organization. If it is a very good profitable organization, they will be going for higher EPS. For example, your company is creating 1,000 events per second. You are receiving 1,000 events using SIM tools. You can go for 1,000 EPS policy, but it's also risky, I would say. Yes, when you receive 1,000 events, you are going for 1,000 EPS policy. It may be affect the same tool's performance whenever you receive like DDoS attacks. And while getting attack, your traffic will be very high. You will be receiving normally 1,000 events. So whenever you receive such attacks, the events will be high, like 2,000 or 3,000 events it may be. So EPS policy, obviously it will affect the same tool performance. It will affect the monitoring. So it's always go for the higher, 3 times higher EPS than your current one, which will helpful for you when you receive such attacks. It will be easier for you to monitor, detect, analyze such attacks. That's what EPS. You can see here total alerts. Means alerts which receive an SOC environment. Like you may receive, as you see, total number of offenses, 191 offenses. I see 191 offences, but among 191, only the less amount of events must be the real attack, I would say. Okay, so critical severity, high severity, medium severity, you can see. So these alerts and attacks based on calculator, based on the severity and priority of the. So priority means when you work based on service level agreements. In the service level agreement, you know what are the prioritized events you have to respond immediately as soon as possible. If it is priority 1 event, you have to respond to it within 30 minutes. If it is priority 2 events, you have to respond within the particular amount of time which is mentioned in your service level agreement. So the events and the alerts are calculated based on the severity and the priority. For example, you are receiving some ransomware attack, but and this receptionist device, which means The alert severity is high, but it's not the prioritized device because it's just a receptionist device. So based on those calculations, they will do the things and the severity things. What say dashboard? So in short, I would say dashboard is a clear representation of your data. The SOC analyst level 1, you will be mostly working on dashboards. Okay. Next topic is SIM versus endpoint security devices. So when you go for any organization, you can see routers, switches, firewalls, internal firewall, web application firewall, even security devices like two-factor application servers, hashing servers, VPN servers, email servers, web servers, and so on. So even though organizations have these many security devices, why organizations require SIM tool as well? That's the question here. So if there is a firewall have a separate group of security engineers, they'll be monitoring only firewall. If it's web server, there must be a group of security engineers, they'll be working only for web server. But SIM tool, it can collect, it can monitor the entire devices from the centralized location. So from the centralized location, you can receive the alerts or you can receive the activities performed by each devices. It can be firewall or IDS, any device it can be. So from the centralized location, we are monitoring. It makes the work easier. It makes you to analyze the logs or suspicious activities easier for you. So if you receive any alerts regarding as a SOC analyst, immediately you will investigate, identify or comes to the conclusion about the alert, whether it is suspicious one or not, and you will be informing to the firewall security team to take the action against it. So as a SOC using SIM tool, you will be monitoring the entire devices from the centralized location, which makes your analyzing part easier. So next we are moving to the credential attacks. As I said before, the credential attacks are the more common attacks we face as in SOC environment. So these are the most common attacks. So first one is brute force attack. So brute force is one of the oldest credential or password attacks we would say. So using brute force attack, attacker will try to guess the password or user credentials using different combination of passwords using more possibilities based on the application's passwords requirements. So that's what brute force attack. If a particular application's requirement is the length of the password must be 8 or uppercase, lowercase, ASCII codes. Based on the requirements, we can perform the brute force attack using the combinations, more number of possibilities of passwords. Next one is credential stuffing. Credential stuffing means attacker uses compromised passwords. Like if any of the application is compromised or the user accounts, user credentials is leaked on a dark web, the attacker used the same passwords for getting the access of different applications because most people are using the same password for different applications. So it's a great advantage for the attacker if they get any one applications or any one account details, credential details, they can go for accessing your different applications. If you use the same password, same credentials, it makes it easier for the attacker to access your all other applications as well. And the next one is rainbow table. Rainbow table, it's based on the hash value tracking the hash value. When you create a password, your password will be stored as the hash value using different hashing algorithms. So hash value, it's irreversible process, we would say. So using rainbow table attack, the attacker, it's a table which contains two columns with hash values as well as the plain text. Using rainbow table attack, attacker will try to hash value words. And next one is dictionary attacks. So in dictionary attacks, attacker will uses different text files or script files, we can say, which contains the possibilities of password. And if your password matches the any one of the possibilities in text file, they can get the access to your account. And next one is keylogger attack. Keylogger, it can be a software or it can be a hardware. Using keylogger attack, they can track keys which you are entering in your keyboard. So if you are accessing any banking application and you are entering the username and credentials of banking applications, the keylogger can track or can capture the keys which you entered in your keyboard. That's what keylogger attack. And password spraying. So password spraying, it's accessing or trying to perform a single login failure for multiple user accounts. That's what password spraying, because they may be using user account lockout mechanisms. In such cases, when you try to identify or when you try to attempt multiple login failure attempt, it may cause account lockup. When you try a particular amount of time after 5 login attempts, it may lead to account lockup. In order to avoid such things, attacker may use password spraying, which means he'll be performing only a single login failure for each and every account. If you have 300 employees in your organization, if somehow attacker collected the details of username of 300 employees, and he will try only a single login failure attempt for each employee's 300 accounts. That's what password spraying, which attacker uses for avoiding the account lockout mechanisms and all. So these are the most common credential attacks we face in a SOC environment. And next we are moving to alert possibilities. Based on the authentication failures, what are the alert possibilities you can detect? So first one is multiple failed login attempts from multiple sources. So in this type of alert, attacker may he may compromise multiple devices. I would say botnets. Using botnets, he may try to create the multiple login failure from the multiple sources. So this is one of the alert possibility we may face in a SOC environment. And the second one is multiple login failure from the same source, which means from the same location or from the same IP address. The attacker will try to identify your username credentials. That's what multiple login failure from the same source. And the single fail login attempt for multiple user account. Just before I explained, like password spraying. So in order to prevent the user lockout things, he may go for single login account for multiple user accounts, different user accounts. So using SIM tool, if you don't create the rules based on the single login failure, it will not create the alert in SIM tool. Then it would be difficult for us to understand which one is the true positive, which one is the genuine attacks and all. Because if you receive a single login failure for the particular, obviously as a human being, we may mistype the password. It may lead to the login failure, single login failure, or your password, there is a chances of password expiry. So if your password is expired, it may lead to, it may create as the alert, but it's not a genuine attack. So you can analyze in such ways any possibilities. So the next one is login failure to disabled account. So using SIM, we can create the groups for disabled account. Like when any of the employee is leaving your organization, obviously we will disable their account. So if you receive any login attempts for the particular disabled account, it will create the alerts and symptoms. So we can create the alerts based on the disabled account groups and symptom. And next one is multiple login failure to the same destination. So for the particular user account, same user account, we are receiving multiple login failure. This is also one of the alert possibilities. Then the login failure to expired account. While creating the account, we may assign the time like 3 months. We must have created the account. So once the password is or user account is expired, automatically it will create the login failure. So in order to prevent it, we can create the rules regarding the expired account as well. So as I discussed the same alert possibilities, like these are the rules we have created in a QRadar. As you can see, authentication, multiple login failure for single user, for the same source, same device, and the repeat non-Windows login failures, Windows login failures, disabled account, expired account, multiple login failure from the same source, same destination. So the rules we have created in CentOS QRadar in order to create the alerts when we receive these kind of possibilities events. And the most important thing when you analyze the logs is identifying whether the attack is the genuine attack or not. So these are the 4 alert possibilities we can go for. So the whatever alerts, we have created the rules in QRadar. So whatever the events matches the rule, it will create the alerts automatically. But it doesn't mean that all the alerts will be the incident, suspicious events. It doesn't mean. So you have to understand when you receive the alerts regarding credential attacks, login failure, you have to analyze based on all possibilities which we discussed before. Like it can be a disabled one, it can be the alert for expired account, or can be the possibilities of the user, employee entered the wrong password. So you have to analyze in such ways. So the alert can be the real incident or it can be the non-events. As you can see, these are the 4 alerts possibilities. First one is false positive. False positive means the alert will be created, but it's not the real attack. As I said, if it is if the account is expired and the genuine user, your employer is trying to access their account, you have created some rules regarding 5 login failure attempts within 5 minutes. If you receive, it will create the alert automatically. So when the normal genuine employer of your organization try to access their account when their account is expired, automatically it will create the alert. So the alert is created, but the alert is done by the genuine employer of your organization, which means it's false positive. That alert is created, but it's not the real attack. Okay. Next word is true positive. True positive means it's correct. The alert is created, the attack is also happened. Because of that, alert is created. Next one is false negative. So false negative is the most dangerous alert, I would say, because in false negative, there must be some attack is going on in the background without your knowledge, but there is no alert in a symptom. So that's why I said it's always important to go for privileged user monitoring. It's important to monitor critical devices every time. So when the real attack happens and it's not creating the alerts, obviously it's a dangerous one. So false negative, which is the dangerous alert, I would say, because you will not be aware of the attack which is going on in the background. And the next one is true negative. True negative means there is no attack as well as there is no alert happens. So we can accept this true positive and true negative because no alert, no attack happens. But when the attack happens, obviously it will create the alert. We will working based on the alert. But this false positive and false negative would be the dangerous one, I would say. Yes, when you receive the alert, it may not be may not be the incident or suspicious activity. Even we can accept false positive, but false negative, it's really dangerous because you will not aware of the attacks. So these are the alerts possible will be facing in a SOC environment. And this false positive and false negative are the most challenging thing for the SOC analyst, because they have to analyze by themselves using their human intelligence. They have to identify which alert is real and which one is a severe one. Then only they can go for the action against the particular alert. So I hope you guys understand the alert possibilities of credential attacks and these basics of SIM tool and what are the possibilities we will receive in the credential based attacks. So now we are moving to question and answer session. Yes, someone asked which practice is best for SOC, either make own set of rules or rely on default rules of SIM solution. Awares Akram. So in SIM tool, there are some customized rules are there, and we can create the customized rules, and there are some default rules also there. So customized rules may cause false positive most of the time. Like if you create any rules, wrong rules, obviously it will lead to false positive. So while creating the rules, you have to be careful. You have to make sure the rule is correct. It meets all the requirements and all. So there are customized rules and default rules also there. So customized rules are the safest one, and the default rules are the best one. But we can customize the rules. At the same time, you have to make sure the alert, the rule which you create, it's correct or not. And even though once you create the rule, if you understand the particular rule is creating the false positive, you can modify the rules as well. And one more question. Can we say the SOAR is the solution to handle thousands and thousands of logs with QRadar to make it more effective instead of only relying on QRadar? Yes, Avais. Nowadays we are moving to next generation SOC. We are moving to SOAR, automated response. So automated response, it makes the response easier. It makes the SOC analyst level ones work easier, right? So SOAR is good. It's the advanced one. It's more effective, as you asked. Instead of relying on QRadar or any other SIM tools, moving on to SOAR would be the advanced one, according to me. Yes, World Bank is also started implementing SOAR, which is the next generation of SOC. So guys, if you have further questions, you can scan these here and you can code, and you can connect me with Discord.
Yes, it's Mehdi Ajla. So this was a wonderful session for a beginner who are looking for a start in blue teaming or in a SOC field. Okay, so if you have any other doubts, please ask now. Okay, I think that's it. So thanks a lot, Mary Ajla, for the wonderful session.
Yes, someone asked how to identify DDoS attack and how to respond to the same. So Harikumar, so DDoS attack, obviously it would be the most dangerous one, and DDoS attack, most of the organizations are using Arbor tool, which is DDoS mitigation tool. So because they don't want to take a risk against DDoS attack, if the company's profit is 1 million in a day, obviously they will be going for Arbor tools. So Arbor tools are very costly. It can detect, it can prevent against DDoS attack. But as I said, it's more costly. Some organization cannot able to afford such tools, Arbor tools. So in that case, we can configure some rules in the QRadar or Splunk or any other SIM tools against a DDoS attack. Because in DDoS attack, they will be keep on sending. They will perform the half scan only, like they will send only SIM flag and they will not respond to the they will not establish the connection. They will just send the SYN flag, and when you respond to them, they will not respond with SYNAPT. So it's difficult for us to understand from which IP address, which location the attack is happening. So most of the organization who have very good profit, they will be going for DDoS mitigation tool for handling the alert. If the particular company does not afford that, if their budget is low, they will be going for rule creation. Like if they receive a SYN request and what are the devices or not responding to acknowledgement packets, immediately it will create the alert and SYN tool. We can work based on it. Okay.
There is one more.
Yes. Will SOAR impact the job market of SOC? So, no, actually, not at all. SOAR, it will automate the response, but obviously we must need a human intelligence to analyze. Obviously, already we have SIM tools. SIM tools available, but even though SIM tools can create the false positive, it only works based on the alerts, but obviously it requires human intelligence to identify whether the alert is real or not. It will not, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Maria Ijra, for the wonderful session, and I hope you all enjoyed it. So there is a session going on in parallel. Okay, so we can move on to that session. It's based on ICS threat modeling and risk assessment by Manoj Jain sir. Okay, so we can move on to that session. And once again, thanks Mary Ajila for the wonderful session. It was a great. I hope all of you got something from this session. Okay, so thanks a lot. See you on the next session. Okay.
Thank you, Sachin, and I would like to thank all the attendees for making the session more interactive, and it gives me immense privilege to be a part of Writing Security Summit 2021. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.